Shut the park down. That was like that's like you and just park judgment. Yeah.
Okay, we're all ready? We ready, y'all?
We're good.
Okay, it's now good afternoon, and welcome to the final installment of the 2025 Hawk Tank presentations. I'm really excited. This is for the grand prize for Fort Lewis College's Hawk Tank Discipline Competition. We have the winner of Fort Lewis College competing against the winner of San Juan College. Like we do at every important event here at Fort Lewis College, I'd like to start out with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge the land that Fort Lewis College is situated upon is the ancestral land and territory of the Ute people who were forcibly removed from the United States government. We also acknowledge that this land is connected to the communal and ceremonial spaces of the Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi, and Dene nations. It is important to acknowledge this setting because the narratives of the lands in this region have long been told from dominant perspectives, without full recognition of the original land stewards who continue to inhabit and connect with the land. Thank you for your attention and respect in acknowledging this important legacy. Okay, thank yous before we start. So number one, I'd like to give a big thank you to LPEA for being our sponsor for the grand prize. I'd also like to say a big thank you to our judges. We have John Keogh, we have Scott Bird, and we have Tina McCullen. Thank you so much for all the time and efforts you put into Hawk Tank and making it such a success. So, without further ado, we have Fort Lewis College versus San Juan College for $5,000. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and introduce our first presentation tonight. Please welcome Noise Hub.
Hello, everybody. Hope your afternoon's going well. First off, I want to say thank you for having me here. It is awesome to be able to present, and I just couldn't be any more excited than I already am, quite frankly. All right, so I'm Joe DiMartino, owner, founder, and lead engineer of Noise Hub, based out of Farmington, New Mexico, but serving the Four Corners and well beyond that. We provide services in audio engineering, artist management, as well as Foley, sound design, beat making, and music production. Amongst pretty much anything that makes noise, we like to record it and make it sound at its best possible potential. Sorry, it's not clicking on me here. Oh, thank you very much. All right, so these are the problems we aim to address. I have been in the Four Corners area for about a decade now, and I have worked with a handful of amazingly talented artists, not just musicians, but content makers of all sorts. And unfortunately, I've watched a lot of these projects go to the wayside due to not having a fostering environment to create or have an outlet to create and put out what it is that they're wanting to provide. The next issue we're coming across is limited access to professional and quality audio. This doesn't mean just in a studio setting. I'm talking about in a setting in a remote, in-person, online, or in the studio itself. We also aim to take a look at, forgive me, my coffee's kicking in. The issue we're looking at also is by having these issues, or these problems, and not addressing these concerns, we're losing talent and quite frankly income and sending these artists to go to other places to record, such as California, Phoenix, Denver, and a little bit further away from us. And it's not to say there aren't music studios locally. That is not, I don't want to misrepresent that. However, in Farmington, it is slim pickings. Also, the issue we find is artists are finding they're kind of stonewalled when they're getting and wanting to find these avenues, these studios, and these groups to work with. There isn't really a sense of transparency. We're going to aim to take that down. So our solution is providing high quality standard audio at a very affordable rate. I want to create an environment that isn't daunting to the entry level, but it's also welcoming for the expert. We're also looking to look at creating artist management, showing these artists what it is to actually come up in this industry and give them a sense of equity in the game. I don't want an artist to come into this game, business, whatever the case may be, and present themselves in a way that they lose any sense of royalty or anything that establishes them further down the road. I want to set them up where they are basically their own entity, their own franchise, and teach them the right way to go about the business. We also aim to do sound packs. Being that we're in a rich area, this is a sorely underserved aspect that I think the market could benefit greatly from. Being that we're surrounded by forests, metropolitans, and not a whole lot of musicians that are gathering in one section, but yet I can pull these artists in and start to farm their sounds and employ local artists to provide sound loops, any sort of effects that can go into Foley or video bits. The next part of this is probably my favorite part. I'm kind of stumbling across because this is the slide I can't wait to get to. Business traction. Things are actually happening. So when I was presented with the opportunity to join the Hawk Tank, I got in the game a little bit late. This business has been in my mind and burning for years. We started the year off creating it into an LLC, making things start to move in the proper legal direction. But now, since that's happened, we kind of opened the floodgates. I'm currently under contract for, I want to say, it's 10 sessions of voiceover work at 4 hours per session. And that's to be completed within 2 weeks. What excites me about this is with a client in Canada. So, here we are, Four Corners, creating some revenue, right? Getting a little bit of international recognition, but it doesn't stop there. I get to also help artists that are here. I have an artist that's getting ready to sign a contract, and we're working on his release. His first project's getting ready to come out, and we're setting hard launch late spring, early summer of his first EP. This will help. We will be supporting him in tour guidance and just promotional all across the board. Another part that I'm really excited about that ties in more so with the sense of community and collaboration. I have a group of producers that are wanting to come up from Albuquerque that happen to be a part of a much bigger program that want to spend their resources here in the Four Corners and make something happen. They want to create content in the studio itself, but also they want to come up to Durango and create revenue by being an actual tourist to this area, not just come consume music and disappear. They want to actually take part and create a sense of connection between Albuquerque, Durango, Farmington, and this greater area. I couldn't be more excited about that. I'm probably not talking up as well as I should, but goodness, it's exciting. The investment we're looking at, hopefully, obviously I got past the first round, which I'm very excited and thankful for. But in this game, it's expensive. There's nothing cheap that comes with it. So what I'm aiming to do, luckily, most of my overhead's been taken care of. I have high quality equipment. I've been doing this for a very long time. I put my own equity into it, and then I put a lot of sweat equity into it. So with that being said, the money will go to sound treatment, and we're going to upgrade some audio. But the biggest one on there for me is space. Because going back to the idea of the sense of collaboration, I need a place for artists to come to that they feel like this is their space. This is a hub. This is where we get to hang out. Whether we're doing a sound stage for Foley, or I'm starting to have an artist go through and rehearse for a tour that they're getting ready to go on, or a local concert they may be putting on. This will be a place and an avenue to better prepare these individuals for the next step. Not to mention, the main key of it, the audio engineering. I have a space where I can bring bands in and set them up and do full recordings. That's great for collaboration. Instead of having a minimalistic single sound booth and that's it. So, why us and why now? I'm going to tell you, it's underserved. This area is vastly underserved. Going through the FDMA program at San Juan College, I'm surrounded by amazingly talented people. Content creators, videographers, producers, directors, and a lot of these individuals, they could use some local help. They could use some support. And I'd much rather create a local hub that people are working amongst each other than having them farm out their sound and their help to an online platform such as Upwork or Fiverr. And my experience is going to be what's going to help with this. Not mine alone. I'm not the only one on my team. My wife was here earlier. Unfortunately, we got a little guy, so he's down for his nap. But anyway, her background is in business. She's got an MBA. She's the one that does all my bookkeeping and kind of keeps my head on straight when it comes to the numbers. So with that, you've got experience and you also have legitimate academic backing. We're built on experience and not in a boardroom, and that's not to knock people that have incubated an idea and made it more. It's more so to tell you, I've been in the trenches. I know what it takes to not only survive on tour, but how to survive in a studio for myself and for other artists that are coming in. And our pricing, I believe our pricing is going to be something that's going to stand us apart of most groups. With that being said, our business model itself is extremely lean, and the overhead, it is very scalable, and kind of sky's the limit when it comes to what we can produce. So I appreciate you. Thank you for your time, and if you have any questions, please shoot them my way.
I have a question about that you're looking for space. What does that look like? What are the costs associated with it? Are you looking to lease or to buy? And then how, because I would guess to make that the sound work, there is a huge
It is.
process.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, in a perfect world, buying would be great, right? We all want to own what we have. However, I also know that's not the reality, especially when it comes to the commercial space. And for a new business like mine, it makes sense to scale properly. So I'm not trying to go into a warehouse that's 3,000 feet. That just does not make sense, and that's going to burn a hole in the pocket quicker than I could probably provide, at least on a first-year basis. What I have been looking at is a studio space that's been about 1,000 square feet, ranging from $570 to about $1,000 a month for the rent itself. I want to say our COGS or not the COGS, excuse me, I want to say our monthly overheads would be around $1,300 to $1,400, utilities included, such as internet and subscription fees for what we need to operate the business.
And how much do you think it would cost to renovate that space? Into a place that's easy to do?
I appreciate that question. Ideally, if it's an open space, right, I can really make it happen. I'm handy myself, I won't have to contract and sub out work. It would realistically probably cost me about $2,000 to get some soundproofing set up and get some isolation booths.
You said you had lots of equity into it already.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that's equipment.
Yes.
Give me just a roundabout number.
Okay, so let's say, I mean, just this year alone, I've spent $10K in equipment. Combined, we're probably, I'd say about $30K over the years.
But you've already created sales without space.
Absolutely.
So is it absolutely necessary over the next 6 months to have space?
For me, it is in the sense that the particular projects that I have and the traction I'm starting to get, I'm needing more space for bigger groups. I thought the same thing, built my home studio, built this beautiful isolation booth, and so happy with it. Works great when it's just me independently doing voiceover and tracking. Not so great when you have a band that wants to go in there and collaborate and work with each other. So that footprint would be ideal. And just as well, the other part of the caveat of the sound is having a Foley stage, an area that I can actually get loud, make some noise, have space to kind of make a mess, so to speak.
Is that gonna be in Farmington?
Yes. It's gonna be in Farmington, that's where we're looking right now. Honestly, I'm looking for the right environment that's gonna make the most sense for the demographic as well as the studio itself. You know, sound is imperative to me, so maybe being right next to an oil rig might not be ideal.
You mentioned online platforms, so this potential possible customer in Canada, they have an option to do what you're going to do for them online.
Yep, correct. So, this is not a potential, I am in the middle of this contract. I am doing this. I just want to clarify. This is voiceover work that is being done. It's actually, what it is, it's a whole separate music studio. And yeah, being able to find, the reason why I bring the online aspect up is because we live in a digital world. I have to be able to work remotely, both in person and online. So with my services, of course, I want to keep money and everything growing in the Four Corners, because to me, the community is everything. I want something that I can hand out to my son, and he gets to be in an environment and a place that fosters and enjoys and embraces that. However, yeah, we have to work remotely. If we want to keep the wheels going and the wheels turning, you're not always going to have local artists. You're not always going to have somebody that's, you know, willing to do a $2,000 session for a record. So we think outside of the box in those perspectives, and I've been really excited with the fact that I've come across this. It's been daunting, I'll tell you, reading 1,000 lines in 2 hours is a bit of a headache, but it's fun.
So, Joy, do you have reserve capital? Let's say that you're a year and a half down the road and your projections didn't work out, either from a revenue or cost standpoint. Do you have capital that you can put into the business to keep it afloat?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, and I do have a hard number on that if that is something you would like to know, but yes, I do have capital that is set specifically and solely for that purpose.
And your wife's gonna help with the, what I'll call the bookkeeping side.
Yes, yes.
But she has another job.
Yes, she does have another job. Fortunately, bookkeeping is pretty well, I can do billing, I can keep track of this, of the fun stuff. It's when we get down to quarterlies and we get down to submissions when I can have to pull her ear, you know, get into her ear a little bit and ask her to give me some help. But outside of that, you might be surprised to find out that she left a lot of this to me and then decided, no, this is your baby, you're gonna figure this out, and did an overview and said, okay, yep, let's go forward and figure, you know, and go on. So she made me take the training wheels off, so to speak. As odd as that may sound. Sorry.
And is this your full-time job now?
This will be my full-time job. I'm a student, we're currently working at San Juan as a theater technician.
Okay.
I will be graduating in May, so this is full bore, this is everything I'm doing. In my business proposal, or my business plan, we had projected for 2026, so we thought it kind of odd to try to project for 2025 if we're just getting started. That was kind of a surprise when I found out that we're going to start making the revenue that we started, you know, by picking up and securing these contracts that we have. So it's been nice that we kind of hit the ground running, I would say somewhat immediately, and kind of preemptively than what we assumed we would be.
So when did you kind of start this project? So you started your LLC at the beginning of the year, but when did you start developing all this and working on the relationships and how?
No, I appreciate that question. I could tell you 10, 15 years for some of the relationships that I've got. I could tell you as recent as last year. This has been something I personally have been working with for well over, I would say a good 6, 7 years since after I moved to Farmington. I thought, you know what, this is a viable option. This is something that I think could be a beautiful business, quite frankly.
So you're going,
Yep.
no matter what.
Absolutely. I'm full steam ahead, you know. There's no derailing me on this, I can tell you that.
Are you doing anything in the movie arena yet?
No, not currently. I am working with small filmmakers within the Four Corners area.
Okay.
I do have ambitions of, well, everybody has ambitions, let me restate that. I do have a meeting coming up with this group of producers I referenced coming up from Albuquerque. There's a direct correlation with a couple members there that are in the industry that we're gonna have to sit down and see what we can do.
Luke is heavily involved in all of that.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys know each other.
Yes, sir, yes, sir. Wealth of knowledge.
Well, I've got-
I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right, well,
Thanks so much.
I appreciate your guys'
Well
time.
done.
My apologies for the coffee jitters.
No, it's fine.
All right.
Thank you all for everything, I really appreciate it.
Well,
Well, please welcome Scoden Farm.
Yad Esh A Kira McCabe Inisha. Hello everyone, my name is Kira McCabe, and I'm the founder of Scoden Farms, a Diné women-owned agricultural business that is committed to traditional food systems and creating lasting impact in indigenous communities. Our product is a 6-ounce resealable bag of blue corn granola. It meets both traditional values and nutritional needs. We are deeply rooted in sustainability, food sovereignty, and economic empowerment. Thank you. The need for a culturally appropriate, healthy food is urgent, as indigenous communities face high levels of food insecurity, forcing families having to rely on heavily processed, unhealthy foods, which contributes to diabetes, heart disease, and other chronic illnesses. At the same time, we're seeing a loss of traditional farming knowledge, such as growing corn using traditional methods. Scoden Farms aims to address both of these issues by growing our own blue corn and creating a healthy, convenient snack that reconnects people with their heritage. Scoden Farms offers a simple but a powerful solution, blue corn granola, made from organic, vegan blue corn that is grown on Navajo Nation land, specifically in Shiprock, New Mexico. We are providing a bridge between indigenous ingredients and modern convenience. I want to tell you a little bit about the backstory of how I got into this industry. So about 2 years ago, here at Fort Lewis, I participated in the farmer and training program at the Old Fort. After my time there, I wanted to go back to the tribal land, specifically the Navajo Reservation, to give back to my community. So I sought out a program specifically on tribal land that taught us how to overcome barriers. So this led me to the Biddy Baby Foods LLC program. Specifically, it's called the Farmer in Residence. They taught us all the entrepreneur skills and how to access capital and pursue our business plan. There, I was able to learn how to grow my own crop, process it, and begin to package it. In our first year, we plan to distribute to food banks and food pantries to reach communities that are most in need. At the same time, through our farm internship program, through our program, we're training the next generation of indigenous farmers while teaching one how to manage their own mental health and career development in regenerative agriculture. It's especially important to hit on the mental health aspect because as an entrepreneur, you need to learn how to balance your personal and your business life. What makes Scoden Farms different is not just our product, it's our purpose. We're a socially driven company, founded by myself, an indigenous woman who has deep roots in the community. We integrate cultural teachings and practices into our farming. And with every bag of granola represents a step towards food sovereignty. While major brands like Kind, Nature Valley, they market to health-conscious consumers, none center in indigenous identity, education, and sustainability like we do. Our work isn't extractive, it's restorative. Our product is designed to reach a wide variety of customers. First, we are focusing on indigenous families and children. This will be done through food boxes and school partnerships. I'm already a New Mexico approved supplier. So what does this mean? I've already gone through the training and I've been put on a special list to be able to sign contracts with school districts and food pantries. The second is college students who heavily rely on food pantries, such as here at Fort Lewis. We have the Grub Hub, which I'm always popping in between classes to see if there's a quick snack. But oftentimes when I go into the Grub Hub, there's usually ingredients that are really great for meals, but I don't always have the time to go home and make a meal. And especially, I want to point out that at Fort Lewis College, almost half of our population is indigenous. And I believe that our product will resonate with these individuals. I've already gained interest also from the athletic director to have our product in the brand new gym facility. And finally, I would like to provide to adults and blue-collar workers, provide them a convenient and healthy snack that will fuel them throughout their busy day. Additionally, I would like to provide to non-Indigenous health-conscious consumers. These customers value sustainability and love supporting local businesses. What unites all of these segments is a need for an easy, nutrient-rich, and culturally aligned food. The organic snack market is growing rapidly, expected to reach $6.4 billion by 2027. This growth is driven by a demand for clean label products, and Skoden Farms is positioned to enter this market with a unique cultural edge. In year one, we plan to sell 2,500 bags to generate $20,000 in revenue. We're selling each bag at $8 per unit with a cost of goods at $4.50. In our second year, we plan to sell 3,000 bags to generate $24,000 in revenue. And by year 5, we plan to sell 10,000 bags in order to reach $80,000 in revenue. This steady growth module ensures financial sustainability and maximizing community impact. In our first year, we are partnering directly with food banks, school districts, and college food pantries, like I said, in order to reach those most in need. In phase 2, we're focusing on brand development to build awareness through the community, such as community events, social media storytelling, in collaboration with local influencers. I've already started to build a relationship with Tumbleweed Nutrition, who's an influencer, and she is a Navajo nutritionist, and I would love to put on workshops here at Fort Lewis College. In our third phase, we will be expanding into retail, first at the farmers markets here in Durango, and then into regional food stores. Now let's get into the team behind Skoden Farms. As a common saying is, teamwork makes the dream work. So I lead the Skoden Farms as founder, a Diné woman with experience in both social work and sustainable agriculture. My background gives me insight in both the cultural and structural challenges our communities face. I'm supported by 2 farm interns who are Fort Lewis College students pursuing their Regenerative Food System certificate. They will be learning how to grow, process, and distribute foods while receiving mentorship and career development. We also will be bringing on an accountant who will manage compliance and reporting. This small but mighty team is dedicated, community-driven, and ready to scale Skoden Farms. Now let's get into the milestones. We've already made some progress already. I have signed a land lease, completed early production testing of our granola recipe. We drafted packaging designs and tested the product with community members to receive feedback on taste, texture, and price. We've secured initial partnerships with food banks to begin distribution and confirmed access to a commercial kitchen for the production process. In year 1, our first milestone will be to grow 6 to 8 acres of blue corn. Next is to refine the recipe and then process and finalize the packaging in order to reach our ultimate goal of 2,500 bags to food banks and pantries. These milestones will lay the foundation for our success and provide funds to keep reinvesting for the next year. To bring Skoden Farms to market and break even in the first year, we're seeking $20,000 in startup capital. I know what you might be thinking. You're saying you're breaking even in the first year. However, I'm receiving mentorship from Bitty Baby Foods LLC. They have been able to guide me and build those relationships. And so far in their 5th year, they're making 6 figures. So with these funds, it will cover packaging, labeling for our 6-ounce resealable bags, commercial kitchen rentals for processing, farming supplies and transportation costs, and finally, a salary for those seasonal accountants. The intern stipends will be funded through Fort Lewis College. As I know, there are some funding opportunities through the Career Development Center, and also there are some sources of funding through the departments here on campus. But if that does not work out, my plan is to reach out to the Native American Agricultural Fund, which I've been able to develop a relationship, and they have told me that they are willing to send my interns to their national conference to be able to support me as well. They provide those internships, and I would like to request that from them. And with this investment, we'll be launching our first production cycle. We'll be reaching underserved communities, creating new pathways for Indigenous youth in agriculture. Judges, if you give me $10,000 to go towards the startup costs, I will build a business that breaks even in its first year and grow to generate over $80,000 in revenue by year 5. More importantly, you will be investing in Indigenous food sovereignty, youth education, and long-term community wellness. I want to finally say that Skoden Farms isn't just about snacks. It's about changing systems. By making waves and growing meaningful foods, preserving traditions, improving public health, and investing into our youth. Every bag of granola we produce represents connection, resilience, and healing. Together, we can reclaim food sovereignty and build a healthier future for Indigenous communities. I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thank you.
Do you already have the land where you're growing the corn? Is that all set up and done? And where are you in that process?
Yes, ma'am. We have a sublease agreement, so it's only per season. So I approach someone that on tribal land that has a land ownership. So the person I am working with, her family owns about 10 acres of that land, and we're doing a exchange agreement where I'm growing about 3 acres of alfalfa for her horse, and the rest of it I get to plant.
You said that's annual?
Yes.
The
Yeah.
agreement? Okay.
And so far, once I reached out to my community about finding more land, there was a lot of people that were interested. It's just people don't have the time to invest into farming. Most of the time, people start up, but then something comes in the way, and the crop ends up dying.
Where's the farm?
It's in it's about west of Shiprock in Goody Ahe, New Mexico. It's on tribal land.
It has access to water.
Yes. Yeah, we are right along the San Juan River. Yeah.
So I guess I have a big overarching question. You're talking about collaboration with schools and food banks and food kitchens, which is amazing. How are they going to pay $8 a bag for a 6-ounce bag?
Most of the time, they have their own, they're nonprofit entities, and they apply to big grants from USDA, and then those funds, they use that to purchase from Indigenous producers. Like here in Grubhub here on campus, they have a certain fund for Indigenous producers.
And so you haven't gotten any pushback on the pricing with that?
No.
As you've been talking to schools and food banks
No, I haven't.
Okay.
Because it feels expensive, right? I mean, just looking from the outside, I go, $8. Yeah, that feels expensive, and that concerns me about your business plan. So you're telling us that you think you can sell 6-ounce bags for $8 all day long to schools and food banks?
I think primarily we're focusing on food banks because they usually have they have more funds compared to school districts that have more limited funds. But I know Fort Lewis has more of a bigger budget than public schools.
Sure.
And what's your plan? You talked about your growth over the 5 years. So you have an idea with the commercial kitchen and all of that. So does that plan, is it feasible? Did you build in more employees to be able to make this happen? Or what does that look like to you?
I would like to expand the internship program so that I know most companies like to rely on interns because it can be an easier source, especially when it comes to funds. I would like to become kind of similar to the Old Fort program here, where they have about 10 employees that work throughout the summer. So I would like to expand that realm.
Thank you.
Talk to me about the ingredients.
So our ingredients is blue corn. It's oats, vanilla, honey, and in the future I would like to add in apricots from local producers, but I have to seek out those relationships first.
Have you talked with Pauline Powell at the New Mexico or Northwest New Mexico Growers Market?
No, I haven't.
She'd be a good contact. And then also I was going to tell you that San Juan College now has a food pantry. They just
Oh,
started
okay.
that.
That'd be a great resource.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Scott?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.